You're listening to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, created to help you succeed in your Security Plus certification journey. Learn more at baremetalcyber.com, where additional prepcasts, books, and training materials await. Let's get started. Attestation in compliance refers to the formal confirmation that a control, process, or obligation is in place and operating as intended. It is essentially a statement of accountability. Someone with authority verifies that a requirement has been met. For example, a system owner may attest that privileged accounts were reviewed and all unnecessary ones disabled during the last quarter. Attestations are critical because they transform compliance from abstract expectations into signed accountability. They create a record showing who confirmed the status of controls and when, which can later be tested by auditors or regulators. Different individuals and groups perform attestations depending on the nature of the control. Control owners, such as IT administrators or HR managers, often attest to operational tasks they directly oversee. Program managers may coordinate attestations across multiple systems, ensuring consistency and tracking completion. Independent auditors, either internal or external, may issue attestations after performing testing, lending additional credibility. For example, an internal audit team might attest that security awareness training was completed by reviewing logs and issuing a formal report. By involving multiple levels of attesters, organizations combine ownership, oversight, and independent validation. There are several types of attestations, each with unique strengths and limitations. Self-attestation occurs when individuals confirm their own compliance, such as an employee certifying they completed training. Internal audit attestations provide organizational verification, usually with structured testing. External third-party attestations, such as SOC 2 or ISO certifications, carry the highest credibility because they come from independent auditors. Each type plays a role, depending on the context. A mix of self-attestation, internal review, and external audit creates a layered assurance model, balancing efficiency with credibility and helping organizations demonstrate compliance comprehensively. Acknowledgement is a related but distinct concept. While attestation confirms a control's effectiveness, acknowledgement records that individuals have read, understood, and agreed to comply with a policy or procedure. For instance, employees may acknowledge the acceptable use policy annually, confirming awareness even if they are not attesting to compliance outcomes. Acknowledgements create evidence that expectations were communicated and understood. They provide organizations with proof that staff cannot claim ignorance of obligations, making them an important complement to attestations in compliance programs. Both tools build accountability, but acknowledgements focus on awareness rather than operational performance. The frequency and cadence of attestations should align with the risk level of the control and applicable regulatory requirements. Highly critical controls, such as privileged access reviews, may require quarterly attestations, while lower-risk items, like password policy adherence, may only need annual confirmation. Regulatory frameworks may dictate cadence, such as requiring annual certifications for financial disclosures under SOX. Aligning frequency with risk ensures resources are spent where accountability matters most. Overly frequent attestations may create fatigue, while infrequent ones may miss important failures. Striking the right balance maximizes both efficiency and assurance. Attestations must be supported by evidence to be credible. Control owners should provide proof, such as test results, screenshots, logs, or ticketing records, demonstrating the control was executed. For example, an attestation that all admin accounts were reviewed should be backed by a report of accounts reviewed and records of any changes made. Evidence transforms attestations from mere statements of compliance into verifiable claims. Without supporting evidence, attestations risk being dismissed as unreliable, exposing organizations to regulatory challenges or failed audits. Evidence-backed attestations are the cornerstone of defensible compliance programs. Attestation workflows formalize the process from request to record-keeping. A typical workflow begins with a request sent to the control owner. The owner uploads evidence and submits their attestation. A reviewer, such as a manager or compliance officer, then verifies the submission. Once approved, the attestation is formally signed off and recorded in a compliance system. For example, quarterly access reviews might follow this flow. Compliance sends requests, system owners submit logs, reviewers validate them, and final records are archived. This structured workflow ensures attestations are consistent, trackable, and auditable across the organization. When attestations reveal gaps, reconciliation steps are required. If an attestation identifies a failed control, say that not all privileged accounts were reviewed, a remediation ticket should be created to address the deficiency. Once remediation is complete, a reattestation may be required to confirm closure. This cycle ensures that compliance is not only tracked but also actively improved when issues arise. Reconciliation prevents attestations from becoming empty paperwork by tying failures directly to corrective action. It reinforces the principle that compliance is about accountability and resolution, not just declarations. False attestations carry significant legal and compliance risks. If a control owner signs off on a process that was not actually performed, the organization may be exposed to liability, fines, or even criminal charges in regulated industries. To prevent this, attestation controls should be in place, such as requiring evidence uploads and independent reviews. For example, a financial officer falsely attesting to compliance with disclosure requirements could face severe penalties under SOX. Making false attestations difficult protects both individuals and the organization, ensuring integrity in compliance records and defending against legal consequences. Acknowledgement tracking is essential for ensuring that policies and training programs are completed and understood. Systems should record when each user has acknowledged a policy, along with timestamps. For instance, if annual data privacy training is required, acknowledgments confirm that employees have reviewed materials and certified their understanding. These records serve as proof during audits or investigations that the organization took steps to inform staff. Without tracking, organizations cannot demonstrate that expectations were communicated, weakening their compliance defense and undermining accountability programs. Retention and audit trails for attestations provide historical visibility into compliance posture. Organizations should store attestations for defined retention periods, often aligned to regulatory requirements, with clear audit trails showing who signed, when, and with what evidence. Versioning is also important, allowing organizations to track changes over time. For example, an audit trail might reveal that a control passed for several quarters but failed recently, signaling a need for further investigation. Retention and trails turn attestations from temporary certifications into long-term records of compliance discipline, strengthening credibility with regulators and auditors. A practical starter exercise illustrates how attestations work. Consider quarterly privileged access reviews. The workflow might begin with a compliance request sent to each system owner. Required evidence includes user access logs and a signed review statement. The owner submits these documents, which are reviewed by the compliance officer. If any accounts are found with unjustified access, a remediation ticket is opened. Once fixed, the owner reattests to closure. The record is archived with timestamps and evidence links. This exercise demonstrates how attestations provide structured, auditable accountability for critical controls. By the end of Part 1, learners should recognize that attestations and acknowledgments are accountability tools that make compliance measurable and defensible. Attestations confirm control performance with evidence, while acknowledgments ensure policies are understood. Workflows, reconciliation, and retention transform them from checkboxes into living compliance records. With these foundations in place, Part 2 will explore automation, governance dashboards, and cultural practices that make attestation programs more efficient, honest, and impactful. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Automating attestation processes can significantly reduce the burden on control owners and improve reliability. Instead of requiring manual uploads, systems can pull evidence directly from monitoring tools, ticketing systems, or logs. For example, a privileged access review attestation might automatically pull the latest user account data from a directory service, leaving the owner to simply verify accuracy. Automation reduces errors, speeds completion, and allows humans to focus on exceptions rather than repetitive tasks. By embedding automation, organizations move attestations from administrative overhead into streamlined processes that maintain quality without exhausting participants. Exception workflows are essential when attestation failures occur. If an owner cannot provide required evidence or admits a control did not function, the process should trigger a remediation plan. Owners must commit to corrective action with specific deadlines, and compliance teams should track these exceptions until closure. For instance, if an attestation reveals incomplete vulnerability scans, an exception record is created with a remediation plan requiring new scans within 2 weeks. Documented exception workflows ensure gaps are visible, managed, and eventually closed, turning weaknesses into opportunities for improvement rather than ignored risks. Attestations also play a direct role in audit readiness. Auditors often sample attestation records to test whether controls are functioning consistently. A well-maintained attestation trail provides a defensible narrative, showing evidence of control operation over time. For example, an auditor may request proof of quarterly access reviews for the past year. Having signed attestations with linked evidence allows the organization to respond quickly and confidently. Without these records, organizations may appear unorganized or even non-compliant. Attestations make it possible to demonstrate, rather than simply claim, that compliance is ongoing and credible. In large organizations, it may be impractical to attest to every account, system, or transaction. Sampling strategies help balance thoroughness with efficiency. Statistical sampling allows reviewers to examine a representative subset of controls to infer overall effectiveness. For example, instead of reviewing every employee's access in a multinational firm, auditors may sample 10% of accounts across departments. If no issues are found, the sample supports overall compliance. Sampling requires careful methodology, but when done correctly, it provides confidence without overwhelming staff, making large-scale attestations manageable. Governance dashboards are powerful tools for tracking attestation programs. Dashboards can show completion rates, highlight overdue attestations, and track open exceptions in real time. For example, executives may see that 95% of required attestations are complete, with 5 high-risk controls still pending. These dashboards improve transparency, allowing leadership to monitor progress and intervene when necessary. They also create accountability, as completion rates by business unit can be compared and benchmarked. Dashboards transform attestations into governance tools, turning administrative processes into meaningful oversight mechanisms. Training and guidance for control owners improve the quality of attestations. Owners may lack familiarity with compliance terminology or evidence requirements, leading to incomplete or inaccurate submissions. Providing clear guidance, checklists, and short training sessions helps owners understand expectations and avoid mistakes. For example, a one-page guide might show the exact log format needed for privileged access reviews. With the right support, attestations shift from perfunctory tasks to accurate evidence-based confirmations. Training empowers owners to participate effectively in compliance, reducing rework and strengthening overall reliability. Controls around attestation authority are necessary to prevent conflicts of interest and ensure separation of duties. Not everyone should be able to attest to every control. For example, system administrators should not both implement and attest to the same security setting without independent review. Policies should define who is authorized to attest and require different individuals to validate evidence. This separation strengthens integrity by ensuring that attestations are not self-serving. Governance over attestation authority creates confidence that confirmations are objective, reducing the risk of fraud or negligence. Attestation results should not sit in isolation, but feed into broader risk management frameworks. Exceptions revealed through attestations should be logged into the risk register, linked to remediation plans, and used to inform control improvement roadmaps. For instance, repeated failures in quarterly access reviews might highlight a systemic problem requiring new automation tools. Integrating attestation results into governance processes ensures that findings drive continuous improvement. This linkage transforms attestations from isolated compliance exercises into active contributors to enterprise risk management and strategy. Audit-proofing attestations ensures they stand up to external scrutiny. This includes preserving all submitted evidence, recording immutable timestamps for submissions, and capturing reviewer comments. For example, if a reviewer rejects an attestation because evidence was incomplete, that rejection and the reasoning should remain part of the record. These practices create transparency, showing not only successes but also how failures were handled. Audit-proof records prevent disputes and build credibility with regulators, auditors, and leadership by demonstrating that the organization takes attestation seriously as a compliance discipline. Cultural considerations are critical for ensuring honesty in attestations. If owners fear punishment for admitting failures, they may be tempted to sign false confirmations. A blameless remediation culture encourages openness, making it safe for owners to acknowledge gaps. For example, if a system owner admits that patching was delayed, the focus should be on remediation and support, not blame. Over time, this honesty improves the quality of attestations and reduces hidden risks. Culture ensures attestations serve their purpose, surfacing reality, not creating a facade of compliance. Measuring the effectiveness of attestation programs helps organizations refine them over time. Metrics might include completion rates, percent of attestations submitted on time, reopen rates, number of attestations failing initial review, and time to remediate exceptions. For example, if completion rates are consistently below 80%, additional training or reminders may be needed. If reopen rates are high, guidance may be unclear. Tracking these measures helps compliance teams identify weaknesses in the process itself, ensuring attestation programs remain efficient, accurate, and trusted. Ultimately, attestations are accountability tools that provide defensible proof of compliance. Automating evidence collection where possible reduces burden and error. Structured workflows ensure exceptions are remediated, and governance dashboards keep leadership informed. Cultural safeguards encourage honesty, while audit-proof records build credibility. Attestations transform compliance from vague assurances into documented, testable commitments. By integrating them into risk registers and embedding continuous improvement, organizations make attestations a cornerstone of both compliance readiness and organizational resilience. Thanks for tuning in to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, your trusted source for cybersecurity news and insights. Remember to subscribe at baremetalcyber.com so you never miss an update. And visit cyberauthor.me for best-selling cybersecurity books that equip you with expert knowledge. Until next time, stay secure and stay vigilant.